Hi, this is Erin Lincoln, and I'm here to show you how to put this super cute and adorable needle book together to hold all your sewing notions. It has a ribbon closure, and you open it up and there's a felt page inside, and you can add pockets and accessories and hold all your notions, needles, pens, threader, and it's all kind of customizable to what you want. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to put it together. This is the first one I made, and we're going to use it as an example. The cover is the solid edge rectangle that is included in the needlebook dies, and that die also creates the inner page. Now there's an inside cover, which is here in this vintage cream felt, and it's scalloped, and that's included in the needlebook stitching dies. So we're going to go ahead and cut 3 rectangles. This is the scalloped rectangle, and it's going to make up the inner cover. I'm going to put that aside. This hot pink, which I believe is Raspberry Fizz, is going to be the outer cover, and that's the solid rectangle. And you want to cut another solid rectangle out of the same or different colored felt to serve as your inner page. And there we go. Run it back through. All right. Getting all those little felt plugs out of the way. The next thing you want to do, and I'm going to show you this die. This is the ribbon slot die, and as you can see, this closes with a ribbon, and we need to thread it and stitch it in to the inside cover. Now there's a solid edge and a dotted edge. Make sure the solid straight line is facing out and the holes, the stitching holes, are facing in. If you do it backwards, you mess up that whole layer. And I say that because I've done it twice. All right, we're going to run it through once, and then you go to the opposite side, turning around. Remember, line out towards the edge, stitching holes on that die, in toward the middle. And remember, this blue piece is the inside cover. Okay, there is a 17-hole straight edge die, and that creates the binding for the needlebook. It binds all your pages and covers together. And what you're going to do is you're going to take both the scalloped edge rectangle and the solid edge rectangle and count 16 holes in. There's 32 total, and the middle is between hole number 16 and 17, and that's where you know where to put this binding die to cut just the holes for your binding. So we ran it through once, counting it again just to make sure. It's really easy to do. Make it straight, which is very easy to see, and run that through. The Raspberry Fizz is our outer cover. I'm going to be reminding you this whole time what color is what piece, because until it comes all together it's a little confusing if you haven't made one before. And here is the vintage cream felt, which is the rectangle that's folded, and that creates our page inside. And I have to cut holes for the binding in all 3 pages. That's what holds this whole thing together. We're doing all our die cutting at once. I realize it seems a little scattered right now, but it'll come together. Okay, I just want to show you how this is going to work. Cover, inside cover, and folding that white to create my page. And now you can kind of see how it's going to come together, and they all have those binding stitches ready to go. Now we're going to create this little part on the inside cover. It's kind of a needle or pin holder, and these are the 2 dies you use to create that. You just lay it, stitching holes down. This doesn't cut any shape, just the holes, and run that through. We have to prep all our felt first thing so we can just get down to sewing. And this little piece right here, which is the match for that strip, cuts the same holes, but also a rectangle shape. And we're going to just put this aside. I have a little helper here, retrieving my die, very curious what I was doing. Okay, now if you see, I have these pockets on my page. This channeled pocket that creates channels for needles and pins are these two dies. One cuts just the holes, one cuts just the shape and the holes. So the holes only, I'm going to cut into my page. Now I have to figure out how this is going to fold and which side I want this pocket on. And I'm trying to kind of figure that out. It's kind of something you have to look and visualize and kind of figure out on your own when you're making this. Where do you want a pocket? Which side of the page? Especially based on that fold, because that page is going to fold in half. And I decided I wanted it on here. Now this is the hole only die. Now on this channel pocket, I will mention that I have an extra hole high than what's available in the pocket, and that's because I wanted the floss to go up over the edge of the pocket, of the felt for the pocket, and you're going to see that. So just be aware, the holes aren't exactly the same, and there's a reason. And this is the actual channel pocket piece that we're going to sew on. Now on the other side of this page, I have a plain pocket that holds a thimble, a coin thimble, which I thought was a handy find. And these are the dies that are used to create that. Again, get your page piece, cut the holes only for that pocket. These are going to be on the opposite side of that channel pocket, or whatever you decide to put on that side. Which is, this is really, you design this how you want. You have all the bits and pieces, and however you want to put this together is fine. You don't necessarily have to do it my way. I definitely have different ways I want to do it. So I'm just kind of giving you the basics here as to how to assemble this, and then once you do it once or twice, then you can go off and do your own thing, hopefully. Okay, and this is the pocket with the shape and the holes cut. Okay, I want to show you here, I put in all my floral detail dies. I felt this is where you want to do it at this step, at this stage of the game. But because this is a long video and we have a lot to show, I went ahead and did that off screen. But I want you to know at this point, that's when you do it. Before you start stitching anything on these rectangles that make up the cover and the pages, stitch in your details, including things on the pockets, like I did on that little Hawaiian Shores pocket. Okay, I need to thread ribbon through to close it. Before I do that, I want to stitch in this little needle holder on the inside back cover. I'm going to show you this at high speed as I can make it, but I'm going to complete the whole thing to show you how I do my stitching. It is a running stitch, which is every other in and out. I get down at the bottom and then I reverse and I fill in on those open stitches between the openings. And so from here on out, through the rest of this video, I don't show all the stitching, but this is how I do it. It starts you at point A, it takes you out to where you need to go, and then it brings you right back to point A, and you can tie off on the back. And I'm doing this now. I'm going to tie it off, because next I'm going to thread through that ribbon, and I didn't want to stitch through the ribbon because that wasn't necessary at this point. There you go. And this holds needles and pins. Okay, now this is the Fresh Snow satin ribbon that is included in the Quick Stitch Sewing Staples kit. Go ahead and cut yourself a good 18 to 20 inches. Better to ear longer than shorter, because you can always trim it, and it's a relatively cheap supply to purchase, and you have 3 yards of it, I believe. So you can work with it. Now, thread it through the slots that we created back when we were die cutting. Now remember, there's a straight line and stitching holes. And now you can see why I wanted that slit on the outside, because I'm going to stitch on the inside, and that ribbon needs to be able to be loose and free to tie this book together. And again, and I'm just saying this so we're all on the same page. I have to remind myself this is the inside cover of the needle book, and it has the scalloped edge. And we're going to stitch this ribbon in using the stitching holes created by the die and a running stitch, which we reverse and we go back and then we tie off, and then the ribbon on that side is secure. And now you see why I wanted to stitch in that Raspberry Fizz needle keeper piece first, so we didn't have to mess around with the ribbon. I went ahead and finished the other side. You didn't need to see that, just same as the other. And just to orient ourselves, Raspberry Fizz is the cover, the blue is the scalloped middle piece, and the white here is our page that's going to get stitched in half after we bind this all together. But right now we have to put all these pockets in because we want the back sides covered up when the page folds. I have a plan. All right, we're going to stitch this in. This is very simple, running stitch, tie it off. I went ahead and did it off screen. Now this channel pocket, I decided at this point to do something a little different. Here I have stitched in every single channel, and each channel holds a needle. I want to put in my threader, and so I was thinking literally the day I put this together, this can actually be an adjustable pocket. You don't have to sew all those channels in. You can make a pocket that fits that threader, and that's what we're going to do. Just an example of, these things you don't think of until you have it in your hands and you start working on it, and other things, other ideas pop into your head. So in order for me to do this, I started there at the corner on the bottom, running stitch up over the edge, and remember I mentioned before, the holes only die created an extra hole in length, so I can stitch up over and really tie down the pocket, making really tight channels for your needles. Now I'm going to stitch down to where I need to make another channel, and then I'll stitch in, and I'm not going to stitch in anything in the middle. I'm going to leave those holes open, and I made sure I cleaned them out with the blunt end of a big needle so they look like those holes are a design element. And I'm going to stitch back, and I've made myself a pocket that perfectly fits my threader. And now I'm just going to stitch all those channels in because we're going to put needles there. Finish that, and now I'm reversing with my running stitch, and I'm going to tie it off. Aren't I a fast sewer? Yeah, I really do this fast in real life. Okay, there we go. And we're going to tie it off. Okay. Fits my threader. I'm actually thrilled with this idea. I think it's super cute. And you could even stitch those channels but not together so you could have the same look. You can mess around with it, figure out what you like. Okay, here's the cover with the back side of the stitching facing up. Here's the inside cover with the back side of the stitching facing down. And here's the page that I'm going to sew with the back side of all those details and pockets facing up. And I'm going to go between two layers of felt so I can hide my knot that I'm going to make. I actually went through the wrong layer. I should have done it underneath the Hawaiian Shores felt instead of between the Hawaiian Shores and the Vintage Cream. That's what I should have done. But we're doing it on the video, so we make little mistakes. And what we're going to do is using that 17-hole design of stitching holes in a line, we're going to stitch down and up through all 3 layers, binding the 3 layers of our book together. And at this point, it really should be taking shape for you. Do you hear my children screaming downstairs? Their dad is tickling them and trying to keep them busy. So that's the happy laughter in the background. They're very loud. Okay, and tie it off. Now my knot's going to show, so I would have, if I had to do this again, I would put that tie off somewhere else. So you can do that yourself. You've been warned. You've been given a heads up. Okay, now we're going to make our page, and we're going to take this top rectangle, fold it, and there's an even number of stitches on the sides. We're going to go in between the layers, so when we're done we can tie off in between the layers, and do a running stitch all the way up, around, down, and then all the way back. And we have created our page, and we have hidden all the messy back stitches from those pockets and those flower details. Okay, again, we're going to go all the way around the perimeter of this page with a running stitch and go back. And so I'm going to do that off camera. And here you go. There is our page that we've created. Next step is to stitch the cover. And we can do this by going in between the cover pieces. Again, hiding our knot. We're going to go all the way down around to where we started and reverse, and you should be able to lift the page up and do your stitching without having to worry about that page at all. You don't stitch through it at this point. So there you go, we're all done. And I just want to mention you stitch underneath the ribbon. Didn't mention that before. Okay, I'm just filling it up. This is the fun part, finding fun notions. These are glass top pins, which I already know I'm going to need to use pins in the next stitching kit, quick stitch kit. So I went ahead and bought those. Needles, a threader. I need a threader because I like really small needles. And this is a handy flat thimble I found. It's called a coin thimble. You use your ribbon and you close up your book. And I would trim those edges. I forgot to do that. Make them nice and neat. Okay, I hope you enjoy this. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I know it was kind of confusing. There's a lot of pieces, a lot of detail to this needle book, but it's actually really easy to do. And remember, all the embellishments and location of the pockets and the strips is entirely up to you and your preference, which makes it kind of fun. You don't have to do it how I did it. Okay, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy stitching.